You know the popular saying that when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers? This was the reality of the people who existed during the Cold War and most especially, during the Cuban Missile Crisis as the United States of America and the Soviet Union took their quest for global dominance to another level. The story of the Cuban Missile Crisis has been retold time and time again. Well, let's find out what really happened between these two superpowers. The Soviet Union had secretly placed nuclear missiles in Cuba, just 90 miles from the United States. Why did the Soviet Union do this? Let's go deeper. Soviet Union and the United States had always been at loggerheads right from 1947. Both elephants were engaged in a global ideological struggle between capitalism and communism, each wanting its ideology to dominate the world. In 1959, Fidel Castro led the Cuban Revolution. I know the question on everyone's mind: who is Fidel Castro? Fidel Castro was a Cuban revolutionary and politician who played a significant role in the Cuban Missile Crisis. Fidel Castro, after overthrowing the former regime in Cuba, a government which was backed by the United States, he aligned himself with the Soviet Union. As the Prime Minister of Cuba, Castro had a close relationship with Nikita Khrushchev, the premier of Soviet Union at the time. Castro urged him to take a bolder stance and firm position against the United States. This alarmed John F. Kennedy as it brought a communist state into its backyard. In 1961, the United States attempted to overthrow Castro, but this failed. This event pushed Cuba closer to Nikita Khrushchev, who promised to protect the island from further aggression from the United States. The United States had deployed nuclear missiles in Italy and Turkey near Soviet Union's borders, threatening the cities under Soviet Union. Khrushchev viewed this as a direct threat and sought a counterbalance. In a quest to counter the United States' nuclear advantage, Khrushchev met with Fidel Castro to station nuclear missiles in Cuba. By placing missiles in Cuba, Nikita Khrushchev aimed to deter future invasions by the United States. Stationing missiles in Cuba gave Soviet Union the ability to threaten the United States directly. When Kennedy discovered the missiles in Cuba, he called for the interception of all shipments to Cuba. This naval blockade was considered an act of war by Nikita Khrushchev, who wrote to John Kennedy. This eventually led to a 13-day crisis marked by intense negotiations and the threat of a nuclear war. Why was this a problem for Kennedy? Obviously, the missiles in Cuba could reach most of the territories in the United States in minutes. Also, allowing the missiles to stay would make the United States appear weak, especially as it had already placed missiles in Turkey and Italy, threatening Soviet Union. Eventually, and after much negotiations, a deal was reached. Nikita Khrushchev agreed to remove its missiles from Cuba in exchange for John F. Kennedy agreeing to remove its missiles from Turkey.
Food for thought. What decision would you have made if you were John F. Kennedy, and how would you have reacted if you were Nikita Khrushchev? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below.